is Jeremy. Hi, Jeremy. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me on the show. Excited to be here.
Yeah, where are you?
So I'm in the heart of Silicon Valley in San Jose, California.
Oh, wonderful. Hello, everyone who's watching. This is Now Tell Us. I'm your host, Anthony Morore, and today we have a wonderful guest known as Jeremy Shapiro. We're here to talk about business, scaling your business, and masterminding. Now, before we go deeper into the program, I would like you to please share this episode with all your friends. If you have a question, ask. If you have any comment to do concerning our podcast, you're welcome. We love feedback. And now, because I know we've got so much to share, as I welcome Jeremy Shapiro, um, why don't we just take that time to share, comment, and do anything as we get started in the right way. Welcome to Now Tell Us. Here we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, before we get started, let me just introduce Jeremy Shapiro. Jeremy is a mentor and coach to entrepreneurs. He talks to them about working in their business instead of working on their business. Oh, is it the other way around?
We want to work on our business more than we work in the business. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. So he's going to tell us just how to scale our business, and also he's going to touch on a very important topic that I'm excited to learn more, known as masterminding. But I just made a brief introduction of you. I would maybe want to hear more about you. Maybe the person listening would want to know deeper about Jeremy, your experience, yeah, tell us.
Yeah. Appreciate you asking. I've been an entrepreneur my entire career. So, 25 plus years now. And I identify as a serial entrepreneur, meaning I've not just had one business, but I've had and created and started many businesses over that time. And all of my businesses during this time have been in the service of other entrepreneurs and helping them move towards what I call entrepreneurial freedom.
Wow. How many how many businesses maybe?
Oh my goodness. At least a half dozen, I'd say, maybe, between half dozen and 10.
Oh, that's cool. Now, you're focused, you're specific, you're looking at entrepreneurs, and this is what your business is based upon. But the person who's listening could be in other different areas of their life. They could be thinking of starting a business. Some could be in other different businesses and want to grow them. Can you maybe tell us what do you identify as a business?
Yeah, it's a good question because I think, in this day and age, it's so easy to start a business, right? But the truth is entrepreneurship really isn't for everyone, right? It's kind of for us select few weirdos who want to go out there and do our own thing. I mean, there's sort of three common steps I see for folks who identify as entrepreneurs and actually start a business, right? The
Mhm.
first is we're typically really good at seeing a gap in the marketplace or an opportunity or something that could be better, right? Whereas
Mhm.
others will just go along and accept things for how they are. We usually see something and, think, my goodness, I need a service or a product that could do this thing better than what's currently out there. So
Mhm.
that's sort of the first thing. We don't have our blinders on, we see the opportunity,
Mm.
right? The second is we have an idea on how to solve that problem or how to fix it or how to serve that market. So not only do we see the problem, and others might see the problem and just complain, we see a solution and we think we know what to do about it. But the third thing is like the most important of all of them. And that's that we actually execute on that and we actually do something. We get that product or service to market and we actually launch it. Whereas some folks would never see the opportunity. Other folks might see the opportunity and just complain about it. And others might see the solution but never do anything with it. We actually go through all those steps and then actually launch the business. So if that's you, our dear listener, then congrats, like you are a fellow entrepreneur.
Wow, that's wonderful. And then I start on something, and I discover that you talk about being self-employed and owning a business, and people make a confusion in that area. How's
Yeah.
that?
So,
Tell
once
us.
you have a business, because it's so easy to start a business, many folks can run like a sole proprietorship, right? And they're what we would call self-employed or solopreneurs, right? So this means you have a
Mm-hmm.
business, but it's entirely you. So at that point, like, do you really have a business or have you just created a job for yourself? And so the litmus test that I like to use with
Mm.
folks to figure out, are you self-employed or are you a business owner, is this. Imagine for a moment you step away from your business for a day or a week, a month, maybe a whole quarter, right? When you come back, is your business better than when you left it? Has it grown? Is your business the same as you left it? Or is it a dumpster fire and you're totally out of business? For most folks who are individual sole proprietors, right? They really just have a job. And if they step away for even a few days to a week, they're out of business. So, when we look at it through that lens, the question is, how do we get from being simply self employed to having a true business? And that comes down to a few really important things. One is having systems,
Which are
right? And the second is
okay.
having the right team and the people who can execute and run those systems. That's what gives you that freedom
Mm.
to step away from your business and travel or be with your family or launch a new business or do the important work on growing the business because you have others doing the work in the
Mm.
business. That gives you that freedom.
Wow. And when you talked about walking away from your business, I went into a greengrocer who opens a place, and then he's gone for 1 week, and when he comes back, he's not even able to enter his shop because everything
Yeah.
is
I mean,
smelling
we've seen
in there.
restaurants or small businesses
Uh-huh.
where like there's a sign up that says closed for the week for vacation, right? And I commend those
Yeah.
business owners for
Hmm.
being able to, provide and have the budget and flexibility to get away, but the fact that they have to close the business because they can't be there, that speaks to there not being a true team in place with systems to run the business even when that owner is not there.
Hmm. And that's a mistake. And I know you know a lot of mistakes or wrong things that entrepreneurs do. Which could be the biggest that you could talk
Yeah,
about?
so a lot of the missteps I see, or missed opportunities even, come down to mindset, right? There are things that we're sort of brought up with that we believe that can be these self-limiting beliefs. And I know you love talking about mindset and
Mhm.
this personal development, right? So this applies so beautifully to
Yeah.
business as well. So one of those is sort of the perfectionist mindset, the idea that nobody else can do something as well
Hmm.
as you can. And look, we get into business,
Mm.
especially you launch it, the business is you, it's your personal brand. So you want to make sure whatever you're putting out there is up to a certain standard. And that's commendable. That's really good.
Mhm.
However, if we take that too far and we believe that no one else can deliver something as well as you can, then you'll never be able to get a team or a system in place to deliver things even with you not being there. So if we can document down how we define success, then we can start to let others work up to that standard. But if we don't document it, we'll never be satisfied with the result. And if we document it but don't hold others
Mm.
to those standards or hire for that, then no one else will be given the opportunity to do that. So if we get over that mindset belief that everything has to be at an unattainable level of perfection, we can create systems and get people in place to deliver a result that we're proud to put our name on. So that's one of those self-limiting beliefs we need to get over, right? The second, there's a really toxic hustle mentality out there. It's this idea you have to be working
Mm.
28 hours a day, 9 days a week. And if you're not, someone's out there stealing your business and taking your customers. This toxic
Mhm.
mindset is going to, keep you up at night, right? Is going to keep you in this prison of being a workaholic, will keep you away from your family, will keep you away from taking care of your health, will keep you from being part of the community and all these really, really important things to living a meaningful life, right? So with
Mhm.
systems
Mhm.
and with people, you'll see a pattern here, right? We can create a business that supports our community, that creates jobs, that takes great care of our customers, and also gives us back time in our life, right? So when
Mm.
we when we
Mhm.
recognize that toxic hustle mentality, we can start to combat that and create a fulfilling business that's meaningful. And there's many more, but a lot
Mm.
of these thematically
Mhm.
come down to mindset and self-limiting beliefs.
Wow. And I want to just put in there that it's easier said
Oh yeah.
than done. I mean, how do I just, because it's something that many of us would need to work on. How do I just trust someone to do what it is that I'm doing to achieve an expected result that I am having, when not only that I believe I could do it, I could be the one doing it better, but then it's some experience that I have had of bringing in someone and things not
Yeah,
working
so
out.
there's two really
I
important
think it's
pieces
a bit
there
harder.
that you touch on, right? So
Yeah.
one is, this belief that it can be done, right? And then two is sort of taking that first step,
Hmm.
and I'll talk about the iterative process of creating your systems, right? But let's really address that first one.
Hmm.
One of the cool things, if you look at parenting and raising your kids, right? Think about when they're
Hmm.
first learning to walk, how they fall down but get back up and try it again and again and again and again, and then eventually you take those steps and you realize you can do it. Apply this to riding a bike, to solving a
Hmm.
hard math problem, to learning to read, to any of these things, right? We do this stuff as adults as well. I'm a semi-competitive athlete. I love cycling. And sometimes you're out there on a bike ride and something's really hard, right? But you still do it. You still continue up that hill. And then you get to the top of that mountain climb and you look back, you're like, oh, I did that. And so the next time you're going out and there's something
Hmm.
harder, it's this incremental step of, well, if I did that, then this isn't that difficult to do. So it's instilling the self-belief by doing something, even though it's hard, right? Is that perseverance, is that grit of doing something anyways, because we build on that experience to then know we can do something even more difficult each step of the way. So how do we get that
Hmm.
belief? Well, when you surround yourself with like-minded individuals on the same journey who are also seeing success, right? You see those role models and other people who have gotten through the challenge that you're facing. They've got their own challenges, but many people have been through what you're going through right now. So if you want to grow your
Hmm.
business and you surround yourself with people who are growing their business, it helps to instill that belief that, oh, yeah, others can create systems and hire and build teams. I can do it too. I'm not alone. So that's
Hmm.
one really important thing, is surrounding
Hmm.
yourself with right folks and starting to do the hard thing, even though it might seem scary or hard, because that begins that cycle of doing hard things, reestablishing that baseline and growing from there. So let's talk about those systems, right?
Hmm.
When we create a system,
Hmm.
that first baby step you were talking about, there's going to be one of three things that happen. The ideal one we want is that
Hmm.
someone follows the system and they get the result you want. That's great, right? That's where we're going to get.
Hmm.
But the first time, especially your first time documenting a system and having someone do it, you're not going to get the result you want. And that's okay. One of two things is
Hmm.
going to happen. And the most likely is that person is going to follow your steps in your system and they'll get a different outcome. So we
Hmm.
look at the system and realize something you thought was clear wasn't clear. So you revise the system. The problem was you didn't write the perfect system yet. And that's okay. It's an iterative process. You're just doing it for the first time. So we go back and we revise the system. We make things more clear. We adjust the language, right? We include some more images or videos or examples, whatever. We make the system better.
Hmm.
And then eventually the person uses the system and they get the outcome you want. And now it's a repeatable, trainable system.
Hmm.
All right. The third outcome is going to happen later on sometimes, where the system is correct and is good, but you don't get the outcome you want. And that's because the person didn't follow the system. They won't follow the system. They forgot to follow the system and so on, right? That's a
Hmm.
coachable, teachable moment. That's time to retrain someone or maybe realize they're not the right person for that role. And that's okay. You have a good system, but not the right person because they're not following the system or getting the result, right? Those are the three
Hmm.
outcomes we can have. The right person follows the right system and gets the right outcome, right? The right person follows the wrong system and gets the wrong outcome, so we tweak the system. Or the wrong person follows the
Hmm.
right system, and so we retrain or replace that person. And so we can get that right outcome. And it's just an
Hmm.
iterative process. But your first step, document, train, and let someone try and do it and revise from there.
Document, train, let someone do it, revise from there. Now, I know we're going to go deeper into exchanging ideas, and this is why we are talking about the mastermind. But before we go deeper into that, can you give a real example of what you've just told? Because someone may be not understanding the analogy that you
Yeah.
used, and they would better understand with a real scenario of
So
a
here's a really
business
fun exercise
that.
that I love to do with folks. Sometimes at our mastermind, we'll do a deeper
Mhm.
dive on systems. And for folks where this is a newer idea for them, we do a really fun game. And so for our listeners, you can
Mm,
do this at home with your family, with your team, with a friend. Um, and here's what we do, right? Most of us enjoy a morning beverage, whether it's a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, something, right? I'm a coffee,
mm,
fanatic myself. I really enjoy the ritual of creating my morning cup of coffee. So, however you like it, whether it's French
mm,
press or pour over or espresso or just a coffee machine, a pod machine, it doesn't matter. You're going to write a system for how someone can create your perfect cup of coffee. Simply write down the steps for what it
mhm,
takes for them to look at that paper and hand you your dream cup of coffee or tea or whatever it is. Now, hand that off
mm,
to someone else and you step away. You don't say anything. Don't react. Let them follow your system and deliver you a cup of coffee. What's going to happen is you're going to get not the cup of coffee you expected. Now we go through that
mhm,
iterative process and realize what went wrong, right? The thing, and this always comes down to things that you take for granted that you think are obvious that others might not realize. So some examples
mhm,
are you might have thought it was obvious that, of course, you need to have beans in the coffee grinder, but someone else just pushes the button and didn't top up the beans. What happens if the beans are out?
mm,
Did they preheat your mug for you, or do they put it into a cold, or room temperature mug? Right? Do they leave room for milk, or do
mhm,
they fill it to the top? Do they put sweetener in there, or do they not? Right? All these little things which you might think are obvious probably won't be obvious to somebody else. So go through that whole thing. Other things might come up of what if the beans are out? Or what if the milk you want isn't in the fridge? We also think about what's the end of a system. Do they put the milk back into the fridge? Do they turn the machine off? Do they dump the coffee filter out? Like, what is the wrap up of that system so it's ready for someone else to do again? Right. So these are all parts of your
mm,
system. Getting, what supplies are needed, getting ready, following the steps, what the clear outcome is, how you wrap up from that task, and so on. So you'll find you'll revise that system, someone will try it again, you'll revise it again, and then you'll get the right output. Great. Now hand that
mhm,
finalized system to somebody else and have them go through it. And you'll find they'll see holes and things that you and that first person thought were clear that weren't. So that's just a really fun game you can do at home, even for our listeners who don't have a business. Create your system for your perfect morning beverage and let someone else use that. Okay. Um, so
mm,
that's a good one. If we want to talk, systems in your business as well, we look at what are some of the first systems that solopreneurs want to, outsource or have someone else run, right? Depending on your business
mm,
model, sometimes this is customer service, right? Sometimes this is the bookkeeping in your business, right? These are some of the earlier roles many of us will hire for in the business. Okay. So
mm,
we had a business owner that I was working with who in his business, it was just him. But this was a guy who loved to mountain bike, right? Loved to get out in the outdoors, get out in the
mhm,
mountains and nature. This was good for his mental health, his physical health. It was wonderful all around. But in the mountains, there's not
mm,
always great cell phone coverage. So if his customers needed him, he wouldn't be able to answer the phone. So that caused a lot of anxiety. And so he didn't want to not be there
mm,
for his customers. He wanted to be able to answer the phone for his customers and take care of them. So the result of this was he was taking great care of his customers at the expense of his physical health, his mental health, and all these other things. So the first hire was
mm,
bringing someone on to cover customer service during business hours. And so suddenly he had an entry level role for someone who could be there for his customers. This let him up level and do the work on the business to grow the business, to work on product roadmap, to work on sales and marketing and all these other things in the business and not need to be there to answer the phone for the
mm,
customers. It also meant he was able to get back out in the mountains and get on his bike now and then, which was wonderful for him because that
mhm,
recharged him, that restored him. That was a wonderful thing for him to get that space. And he knew his customers were still cared for, even if he couldn't be there every moment of the day.
mm. I love that. And I love the aspect where you point out that it's assumptions that we make and expectations that cannot that cannot be met by someone who is not into the system, who does not know how your business works. And then once you meet with the wrong results from the expectations you had, you can give up
Yeah.
on your business, or give up on scaling your business
Yeah.
in
I've
this
seen a lot
case.
of folks, stuck
Wow.
with the solopreneurship business forever. And if you talk to them about it, they'll say, well, I don't have time to work in my business. There's so much that I need to do in my business. Who has time to mastermind? Who has time to work on their mission, vision, and purpose? Who has time to work on a sales and marketing plan, right? Because they're so stuck in it, they don't make the time to work on it.
Yeah. And now, because we've mentioned mastermind, and there's someone who may not have an idea, what's this? What are these guys talking about? Can you maybe introduce the topic uh, from the word go, from
Yeah.
the beginning
So
in this
this
case?
whole idea of
Mm,
masterminding comes from a book authored by Napoleon Hill in the 30s called Think and Grow Rich. This book's now almost 100 years old,
mm,
and yet it's sold a gajillion copies. It's still a best-selling book to this day. And in that book, in chapter 10, the title is The Power of the Mastermind, right? So Napoleon Hill introduces this
mm,
whole concept that if you get two or more people together in one room at one time, working in harmony towards some greater purpose or goal, that the output of that is this creation of this third mastermind, right? You think about if you're trying to solve a problem or
mhm,
brainstorm on something, the difference between if you're working by yourself on that versus if you're working with others, right? You say something, someone else comments on that, and they have an idea that inspires you to have an idea, and this conversation is really this third mastermind which is created, that neither one of you would have ever gotten that best idea on your own. That only came up because of the interplay and the conversations that happen behind the closed doors in pursuit of that common goal together. So fast forward to present day, how do we use the mastermind concept now? Well, what we do at the Bay Area Mastermind is we get together like-minded business owners once a month for a full day of working on the business, right? Each of our members and guests has a dedicated hot seat during the day where you have a chance to share what's working in your business, what's not working in your business, where you are on your accountability items in terms of what you've gotten done that you committed to get done. Because most of us don't have accountability as business owners to anyone else. We're the boss, right? And the fourth thing is we get
mhm,
to talk about where we're feeling stuck or what our big question for the group is, right? And this changes each month as we face new challenges and unlock sort of new levels in our business. What's really powerful, and I think is so
mm,
fascinating about this, is most folks come into the room with this big question, right? This big block. They're feeling stuck somewhere. They're feeling plateaued. And so we come into the room with two big things. One is the stuff that we're good at, right? The stuff we're getting done, the things that that are our superpowers, right? So we come in with the things we know that
mhm,
we know, right? And we share about those. We come in with that big question as well.
mhm,
And that's the thing we know we don't know. But you see, when you don't know something, you have a question and you can look online. You can get a book. You can take a course. You can ask a coach or a mentor or other people out, around, and you can seek out answers to the question you
mhm,
have. And that's usually what brings folks to the mastermind. But the real value
mhm,
is actually in this third category. It's in this category of knowledge of the things you didn't know you didn't know. So, how do you find out about what you don't know if that's where all the opportunity is? When you surround yourself by like-minded individuals who want to share, right? You now have a room full of other folks sharing what's going on in their business, what's working, what's not, and so forth. This is where you hear from others
mm,
about what they're doing. And that's where you get the ideas and learn about things you never ever knew that you could know about. So when we have guests who join
mhm,
us for a mastermind test drive for the day, they come in with a big question and they expect they're going to write down a few answers and get unblocked. And that does happen. But
mhm,
oh my gosh, all of the aha moments from members and guests and those big pivots, those new business ideas, new sales channels, and so on, all of that actually comes from everyone else's hot seat. That's where I see those big
mm,
ahas, those big notes getting taken down in the paper. That's where people are getting a chance to ask deeper questions and dive into, other folks
Mm-hmm.
and their business what's going on. Because when someone shares something, they use a term you don't understand or you've not heard before. Or they talk about a sales channel you know nothing about. It's not a one-way presentation.
Mm.
It's a conversation. So that's where folks get to ask and dive deeper into
Wow.
that and really, really grow from that third big category of knowledge, the things you didn't know you didn't know.
Mm. Now, is this just an in-person event, or is something that you also
Oh,
do
that's a really good
virtually?
question. So it's funny. For a long time, for decades, this was always like an in-person thing. And with the pandemic, we quickly
Mm.
pivoted to an online format. And that allowed us to reach out to a much broader audience. So people from all around the country and all around the
Mm-hmm.
globe actually were finding us, right? And as we came back to in-person, we've come back with a hybrid model. So we have folks who join us exclusively,
Okay.
via Zoom. We also have folks who join us exclusively in person, and we have some folks who do a little bit of both. They'll be with us in person for some meetings, and then when they're traveling, or away, they'll join us virtually. And other folks who primarily join us virtually, but occasionally will fly in and meet in person from time to time as well. So it's been, that's one of those really good things that came out, is this ability for us to have a hybrid model.
Wow. Yeah, and it's a full
Yeah,
day
this
event,
is a
yeah?
full day of working on the business. There's various forms of mastermind groups that I've been part of over the decades. Some meet, exclusively far away destination, and you meet for a few days at a time, right? A few times a year. Other groups
Mm-hmm.
you meet more frequently, like once a week, but you're only meeting for like 30 to 90 minutes, like at a coffee shop or online or on a phone call. And the truth is, when you're meeting for that short of a period, you can't really dive deep and do a true hot seat into what's going on, right? When you carve out that
Mm.
day away from the office, away from the distractions and the fires of the day, away from your team, away from all those things, it lets you really focus and do the important work on your business. It gives you that space, that mental space to see the opportunities and have all those aha moments that you don't get when you're dealing with the fires of the day and the phone and the emails and the Slacks and everything else. So that space of a full day to work on your
Mm.
business lets you dive deep, lets you have that mental space, and lets you get those really big aha moments and those pivots we're all looking for.
Mm. Wow, at least there's something positive that came out of
Yeah.
COVID. It brought us in to
Right?
spread us out.
Yeah.
I mean, you were enclosed so that you can reach to all the
Yeah. We,
corners of
we,
the
we
world.
had
And
to,
that's what is
we
happening.
had to, we had to, get that space away from everyone to realize the value of being close to everyone.
Mm. Yeah, sure. Wow, wow, wow. And I guess there's so much that people can get out of those mastermind meetings. And I believe that people who are listening here could be interested in finding out more about your mastermind. How can they find
Yeah,
out
so you
about
can
it?
find much more about the mastermind concept, how to start a mastermind group, how to run mastermind hot seats, how to test drive our mastermind, and so much more. And all that is at bayareamastermind.com. That's BAYAREA mastermind.com. You got it right there.
Wow, wonderful. Yeah, so everyone who's listening, you can go over to bayareamastermind.com. When I saw Bay Area, I thought it's a specific area and not not global, as now we are
Yeah.
getting it. But now we get the idea that, yeah, it's everybody who could be interested in benefiting from a mastermind group. Yeah, once again, go to bayareamastermind.com, connect with Jeremy, find out oh, about masterminds.
Love it.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks for
Thank you,
inviting me
thank
on.
you.
I love the
Thank you for
show,
coming
and
today.
this was great. Thanks.
Yes, and we are almost coming to the end of the show. Now, at least people know how they can follow up with you. But before you go, there's something that we love hearing at Now Tell Us. You can leave us with some idea or something that we should never forget about. What's that? Coming from
So,
Jeremy.
whether it's your business or parenting or challenges you're facing in life or really anything, remember that, there are billions of us here on this planet, and we've been around for thousands and thousands of years. The challenge you're facing, others are facing too, and others have faced before, and you can get through it. You might just not know who else has been through it or how they got through it. You can do it. Others have done it, and you can too. Be intentional with who you surround yourself with, Because if you surround yourself with people who've been there, who've done that, and can help you through, you can get through whatever challenges life throws your way.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I love that. I usually say that whatever a man has done, another
Yes.
can do too.
Yes.
So this is the concept. The thing is to find out that person who has done something, hear from them, learn from them, be coached by them, and then apply it to your own life, and you can do that thing.
Spot on.
So if you're looking forward to growing your business, don't be alone. Don't be a lone ranger. Just go out there, meet with people, mix, get coaching from Jeremy, get to mastermind with people who Jeremy brings to the platform, and grow your business. There's much more. And when you mentioned about coming together two minds to create a mastermind, that concept of Napoleon here, there's this quote I love. Someone said, and I don't know who this was, that if we come together, each of us with an apple, I give you an apple and you give me the apple that you have, we'll both end up with two apples. But when we come together with an idea, you come with an idea and I come with an idea, by the time that we are leaving the table, each of us will be having two ideas.
Love it. Love it.
Wow. I have nothing much more to add to that. Only to thank you. Really.
Thank you for inviting me on.
Jeremy, for coming to our show. Yes. And to our listeners, our viewers, we also thank you for taking your time, even when you get to listen to this or watch this after we have recorded it. We appreciate your time too. And please share, subscribe, and let's keep hearing, let's keep sharing, let's keep growing. That's it for now. This has been Now Tell Us. I have been your host, Anthony Murori, and together with our very wonderful guest, Jeremy Shapiro, we are saying bye for now.